I found that, oh, hey, like I want to mount this over here, but there's no thing that exists. So let me take this piece of hardware, modify it, and then make something new. When I first started, I used what I had. Like I had a drill and a saw, and then I just went from there.
Well done, buddy.
Thank you, thank you.
Well done. Welcome, everyone. How y'all doing out there? I'm here with David Raouf.
What is up?
Also known as rdavidr.
Yep.
That's probably what most people know you as.
Yep, rdavidr.
If you haven't seen him yet, you got to check him out on YouTube. He's got a killer YouTube channel where you do like drum hacks, drum alterations, drum restorations, like cool little gadgets that you can throw onto your kit. What got you into that stuff?
A couple different things. Mainly just I enjoy using my hands and creating things, building things. And as I started to play drums, of course, drums are physical. You have to set up your gear and of course play it. But I found that, oh hey, like I want to mount this over here, but there's no thing that exists. So let me take this piece of hardware, modify it, and then make something new.
Yeah. It's very, very cool. Drummers of any style or any skill level can get a lot of enjoyment out of your channel because
Definitely.
some of the things that I've seen that you do, I would have never have thought of. you know?
Right.
And even different ways to like put your sticks, stick holders, for example, and
Right.
different ways to modify your stands. It's a really, really cool channel. So go and check him out. It's rdavidr, just the letter R, the name David, and the letter R. You can find him on Instagram, on YouTube, all the social channels.
Yep.
And give him a like and a subscribe. But you're here to talk about 25 drum hacks.
25 drum hacks anyone can do.
Now, what's crazy is I've seen almost all your videos. We have a really cool project that we're going to announce at the end of this live lesson, so don't go anywhere. And I've seen a lot of the stuff. And when you were talking to me, you originally sent me an email with 50 drum hacks. So
Right.
How many hacks do you have in your toolbox?
50 is about the limit right now, but I'm always trying to explore and find new things and find new ways to modify gear and new ways to hack your gear to find new sounds and new possibilities.
Right.
So,
what kind of hacks are you talking about here? Give us a brief overview.
of course, fixes, the kind of stuff where like, oh God, I just showed up to a gig, I don't have this piece of gear. Like, what can I do? How can I use what I have to fix this, this problem? And of course, just ways to explore and find new sounds and modify the sounds that you already have to find new things and just that sort of realm of sound.
Very cool. So you're bound to get something out of this. 25 drum hacks. Now you're not going to do them here. Are you going to do them in the studio?
It's a little bit tight in here, so I don't think that'll really work.
Okay. So you could probably go to our warehouse.
That'll probably be better. Yeah.
Okay, so are you guys ready for 25 drum hacks for every drummer? If you are, and you're our Drumeo member, I got something really cool to chat about after this, but let's get into these hacks, okay?
All right, I will be right back. We made it. We're in the warehouse, nice and safe. So first thing we're going to talk about is cutting a bass drum porthole. So of course we have our bass drum head. This is a cutting mat just to protect the table. And then this is a set of dividers made to draw a circle. But you'll see that there's these pointy ends on it. So that's what we're going to use to cut the head. So I have it set to 2.5 inches. We'll find a spot on the head about right here. Make sure we avoid the edge and just push down and start cutting. And now you can see that we almost have a nice clean hole, all right? And the beauty about using a divider is you can set it to any width you want. So you can make a giant hole or a small hole using a divider. All right, so on to the next hack. We have this bass drum head, another bass drum head. And if you want to add a logo, whether it's like the company logo or your band logo, this kind of stuff kind of deters from it and gets in the way. So to remove it, all we need to do is get this graffiti remover. This is Goof Off, and dampen up your rag a bit. Get it nice and saturated, and then get a little rub and let it sit. So we'll let this sit for about 5 to 10 minutes, set it aside, and we'll come back to it. Okay, so the head has been sitting now with the Goof Off on it, and as you can see, it still is intact, but if we start scrubbing, it comes right off. And we have no more logo on the head now. Next hack, we got cymbal stand. So you go to a show, you set up your gear, you crank down on the wing nut as tight as you can, but then you go to break down the gear really tight. So what you can do is take a pair of drumsticks, go around the wing nut like so, and then use this as like a pair of pliers for extra leverage. And there you go, it's nice and loose. All right, so you buy a couple fresh pairs of sticks, throw them in your stick bag, which pair belongs to which pair, right? So easy to remember, easy to see, just take a Sharpie and mark the end of your stick with some sort of marking. So in this one, I'll do a line, and then on this one, do something different. So I'll do an X. And now I know that each pair belongs, which pair belongs to which pair. So the brush. The thing about a brush is, say you push it out all the way, and now you have this wide fan, this wide spread on the brush, all right? But say you want it a little bit tighter for a more controlled sound like that, so of course you can just pull out the back, and it pulls the brush in some, so you have a tighter spread. But as you play, this is gonna push back out and go back to that, okay? So what you can do is just pull it out where you want it, and then bend this piece like that, and that is not going anywhere now, and your brush stays the same. Next hack, this is a cymbal felt. pretty basic piece of gear. But you show up to a gig that's a house kit or even your kit, and it's gone. What do you do? So if you have one felt, this is pretty revolutionary, but all you have to do is take the felt, and there you go. You now have 2 felts instead of 1. The drum key drill bit. Of course you can go buy one, but if you ever buy a kit or find a cheap key, they usually look like this, and it's a cheap key, so we don't really care about it, so we can cut it up and use it in the drill. So of course we'll need a drill, a file, and then a hacksaw or some way to cut the key. And it makes it really easy if you have some sort of vise to hold the key, but really you don't need one. Use the hacksaw and cut off the handles of the key. And now this is pretty smooth, but if we take our file, we can just go around and smooth up all the sharp edges. Now you can see we have this key that we can chuck into a drill and go to town removing heads. Next hack, we have a hi-hat stand. Oh God. So a lot of people play their hi-hats kind of low, so you can cut down this rod. But also if you have like a cymbal stand, it makes sense to cut down the tubing. If it's like really heavy duty hardware, it's super heavy. So what I do is cut it down so it's shorter and more lightweight. So we're gonna do a 2-for-1 and cut down the rod of the hi-hat and the tube of the stand. So I have a hacksaw and file. For this, I'm gonna use the hacksaw, but for the tube, there goes that. I'm gonna use a pipe cutter, all right? So we'll just slide it on to where we want it. We'll just pretend right here. And then once it's tight, we just spin it around. And there you go, it's broken through. And when you use a pipe cutter, it leaves a better edge than a hacksaw. But this pipe cutter has a little deburring tool, so just stick it in there, spin it around, and now it's nice and smooth. Now for the hi-hat rod, we do the same thing, but with the hacksaw. So put it in the vise, and we'll cut it down about 3 or 4 inches. Really reef on the vise, get it tight, and then take your hacksaw and cut away. And now that we're through, this is rather sharp and jagged, so just take your file and smooth it over. And you want to be careful putting this in the vise because it will scratch it up. So if I grab this towel right here, we can use this to help protect the rod and not scratch it up. And there you go. Now you have a shorter hi-hat rod along with a shorter tube for your cymbal stand, hi-hat stand, snare stand, whatever stand you have. Moving on, we're talking about this wooden bass drum beater. So you can see here, this is of course a wooden beater, has a flat face to it, but sometimes you don't want the wooden sound, okay? So what you can do is take a furniture felt pad. Of course, you put this on the bottom of a desk, table, chair leg, whatever. Just peel off the tape and slap it on the face of the beater. Press it down, and now you have a soft beater. All right, so the next hack deals with your snare drum, or really any drum, but you see a lot of locking tuners for your tension rods. Of course, as you play the drum, the tension rod will detune. But if you find that happening a lot, or if you're in like a high pressure scenario where you need your snare to stay in tune, so what you can use is clear nail polish to lock the tension rod in place. So if we take off the tension rod right here, we'll just say that this one keeps detuning. Take it off the drum. This is a fancy, weird rim system, but we'll take the nail polish and just put a little bit on the threads, like so, and see if I can put this back together. So now, once that dries, it'll lock in place, and the best thing about this is, you know, some guys will use like Loctite, but Loctite is like permanent and you cannot take this off, but clear nail polish is weak enough that you can just take it off with a key and change your head when you need to. Next hack, we have a snare drum, of course, got a stick and a Sharpie. So, cross stick. If you show up to a gig, they got a house kit, and you play a lot of cross sticks, your best bet is to figure out where it sounds the best on the drum before you start playing your gig, all right? So you hear there, it sounds a little bit hollow, but here, a little bit thicker. So what I'll do is take the Sharpie, mark the end of the stick right there, and then just the arrow underneath the stick on the head, so I know exactly where to play the cross stick. I know to go to that spot every single time to get the best, most consistent sound. All right, so you're playing on your kit, your snare, a little ringy, not my favorite sound. So what you can do is take a fat, big eraser. This thing costs $1, so if you're at a gig, instead of using your wallet, you can use an eraser, and it's basically disposable. If you lose it, you don't have to worry about losing your wallet. And another thing you can do is, if say that's too much muffling, you can cut it. You know, you don't really want to cut your wallet in half, but an eraser, cut it up, no one cares. All right, so next we're gonna talk about how to get a triggered kick drum sound using this offcut from cutting the porthole in the front of the head. So all we have to do is take this, the batter side head, and that's all you gotta do. And there you go, it's that simple to get a trigger kick sound using a piece of a head that is trash. All right, so say you just bought a brand new kit, but as you can see here, this kit has been a little bit used. There's no hoop protector on this, so it kind of scuffs up the hoop and eventually destroys it. So what you can do is use a stick sleeve, just a sleeve from a pair of sticks, slide it under the head between the hoop, and then fold it around like so. And now when you clamp the pedal on, you're clamping to the cardboard of the sleeve and not really hurting the hoop. All right, so this next one is for all you guys that use an internally mounted bass drum mic. So when you have a cable coming out of the drum, you'll see that it rests on the head. And when it rests on it, it can either rattle and create sound that you don't want, or also it muffles the head a little bit. So what you can do is use a binder clip and take apart the handles or little handle parts, I don't know what you call them. Take them apart and then run the cable through that portion of the clip and put it back on. And now we can clip this onto the hoop and position the cable in a way that it's just floating in the center of the porthole without touching the head. Have you ever showed up to a gig and forgotten your rug and this happens? So if we take our ratchet strap, take one end with the hook, wrap it around the spur, then go around the throne, then put the other end around the other spur, and then give it a little bit of a tighten. Get it to where you want, that should be good. Might be a little goofy and tricky to sit down, but now the thing's going nowhere. Now, one popular hack with your floor tom to increase the resonance is to put a piece of foam underneath of the legs, because it decouples the sound from the floor and creates more resonance in the drum. But one other thing you can do is take a hard surface like a practice pad. I'm gonna use the back side because this is wood. If you just slap it underneath of the floor tom, like so, it'll increase the resonance because the sound waves bounce off of the pad and back into the drum instead of getting absorbed into the carpet. Now, when I take off the pad, might be hard to tell a difference because we're in a big empty warehouse right now, but once we get back to the studio, we'll show you the actual difference it makes. All right, next hack for the floor tom is I like to use the stick bag to, of course, hold my sticks, but if you're ever in a hurry and try to put your sticks in the bag, it can be kind of hard and you miss sometimes, all right? So one way to make this easier and to keep it open is to use a binder clip and just clip open the two pouches. Just slide it in, bend the little handles down, and now the bag stays open and you can take your sticks in and out with ease. All right, next hack, we're gonna make a stick holder with some random hardware. So this is a typical multi-clamp, and then this is a pearl style tom arm. And this is made to clamp onto any piece of hardware, so I'll go on this hi-hat stand. And then with the tom arm, put it upside down on the other end of the clamp. Now you just take your stick and shove it in the tube and got a stick holder. Moving on, so if you gig out a lot, obviously you probably have a drum rug, and for setting up and tearing down, I guess mainly setting up actually, if you mark out your rug with tape, you can mark the bottom of your stands on where everything goes, so that way when you show up to the gig, pull everything out, you know exactly where it goes, and you don't waste any time setting up. One of the most popular hacks is to take some old, used, beaten cymbals. So I got this old splash here, you can see the bell is blown out of it. But if we take these old cymbals, this one's also cracked, stack them up, you can make a whole new sound. So if you listen to the splash by itself, sounds pretty crappy. But as soon as we start to stack all these together, by the way, this is a 10-inch splash, an 8-inch splash, and then a 6-inch to top it off. And now we have a completely new, different sound that you can add to your kit. All right, so one hack you can do for your cymbals is take this old cabasa, right? If we take it apart, take the handle off, and then steal one of the rings of beads right here and slap it on the cymbal, we now have an instant sizzle. So here it is without the sizzle. Put the ring on. All right, so one thing about your cymbal stand is if you don't have the proper pieces, you're gonna ruin your cymbal. So this is missing the sleeve. So even with the felt on, if I put a cymbal down, it would keyhole the cymbal because it wears on the threads and will wear out the cymbal, which you don't want. So instead of buying a $5, $6 cymbal sleeve, what you can do is go buy 20 foot of this vinyl tubing, which costs like $5, and cut a piece out and put it on the tilter, and it will save your cymbal. So if I just put it here, mark out roughly where I want it, go about there, about a ½ inch, cut it, then slide it down over the threads. So now if I grab a cymbal and put it on, you can see now that the cymbal is protected from the threads on the sleeve or of the tilter with the vinyl. All right, so now I have a simple hi-hat stand hack to save your ride, all right? I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a gig, thrown the hi-hat stand in my bag, pull it out, and the rod is all bent and all wobbly, right? So it's really easy to bend these rods, but this is one way to kind of save your ride and not bend it in transport. So all you have to do is take the clutch off, this tube, and then the rod. And one kind of trick, if this is really tight, you can take your hi-hat clutch, of course, put it on, tighten it up, and now you have more leverage if that's an issue, because these do tighten up pretty easily. So take that off, take the clutch off, and drop it, and then slide the rod upside down into the tube. Now take the clutch and just slide it on like so. And if you want, you can slide this into the tube. Sometimes they don't fit, but on this one it does, so I will. Then just tighten it up, and now you have a nice compact way to store your rod, and it will not get bent in transport. So for anyone that's ever tried to use one of these baby small pads and a snare stand, you know how annoying it is, because as soon as you tighten it up and start playing on it, the thing just falls out and it's not very practical. But if you take an old head, roughly the same size as the pad, and then place the head in the snare basket, now the pad can't fall out and the head is not going to fall out either because it's round and not hexagon like this thing. And as you play it, it stays in place. So there you go. There are 25 drum hacks everyone should know. So let's jump back to the studio.
Dude. Dude.
Nice warehouse you got.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Well done, man.
Thank you.
I got a question to ask you.
What's that?
How can you saw that fast?
I had my vitamins this morning.
Yeah, you had your vitamins. Dude, that was killer.
Yeah, thank you.
25 hacks.
Yep.
That's all those little things are things that a lot of them I didn't even know about, but they're all things that I could use.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's the whole point of doing all this stuff is like you can use them, right?
Especially that bass drum creep.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I've had bass drum creep on.
Yeah, you're always grabbing the kick and pulling it back.
Yeah,
so annoying.
So obviously we couldn't do 25 hacks live in the studio like this, but we do have a really cool warehouse, and we came prepared. You brought a bunch of your tools, and you planned it out well, and I think that was freaking fantastic,
Yeah,
man.
came out great.
Yeah, it totally did. And for the members who actually know, or the viewers out there who know who rdavidr is, this is, some of the stuff might not be new to them.
Right.
You may have seen a few of those on there, but I know a couple of them are unique.
Yep.
And what is the most popular hack that I think you have?
That's a good one. My favorite is probably using the bona clip on the stick bag, because I love the stick bag, and throwing your sticks in and out can be a pain, and if it's tight against the drum, you just drop them and they fall on the floor. So if you're playing a gig, then it's super convenient to have.
No kidding.
Yeah.
What hacks do you have from those 25 that you have on this kit right now?
There's a few, like I mentioned, the binder clip right here, the stack hack. This is actually, you can learn how to make this on the series we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
But this is an old ride cymbal, believe it or not, that I drilled out with a hole saw and just stacked them together. So if you have old cymbals, that's one thing you can do with them. And then of course, hey, it's the same stack from the warehouse right here. Yeah, I think that's all right now, actually. So
Show us what those stacks sound like.
yeah. So this is like a 6-inch flat stack is what I call it. And the thing about this is, because of the curvature of the ride, when you cut it out, of course, it'll be curved. So I thought making it like a hi-hat like this would sound good, but actually sounds horrible. So instead, they're like the opposite, like that, if that makes sense. But every time you hit it, it like spins and sounds different.
Yeah.
But I find if you have it like this, it sounds pretty good. Pretty chingy and zingy sounding, so definitely a unique stack. And then of course this one's more of like a clap sound. And again, it's a 10-inch, 8-inch, and 6-inch splash. And you heard me play these in the previous track I just played. So
Very cool. So the 25 hacks you showed, do you need to be a handyman? I mean, I don't use a lot of power tools. I'm not the guy who's going to go in his garage and kind of do these kind of projects, but a lot of those seem pretty simple. What do you say about that?
yeah, definitely. Of course, there's more advanced things you can do, and things that require more knowledge of tools and more space. And but like as you saw with those 25, it's just simple things, and only a few of them I really use the tool. And those tools are, just a couple bucks. They're not expensive at all. And like a drill is something every household should have, right? I'm sure you have a drill at your house. So if you have a drill, you can do basically the majority of these projects. So
Yeah.
get a drill some holes in some things. Of course, you can drill holes in cymbals, holes in drums if you're that, if you're willing to do that, get a unique sound with that. And then you just go from there. When I first started, I used what I had. Like I had a drill and a saw, and then I just went from there. As I had these bigger projects and needed, more tools, I just bought them as I needed them, and eventually build out a whole, workshop. So.
Well, yeah, not only does it save you money too on a lot of that stuff. I mean, some of those things that you go and buy, especially the little cymbal sleeve,
right?
Those things add up, and
Yeah.
you just bought a whole tube. You can do that with all your cymbals, but it also saves you in a pinch. Like I've been on tour and I've lost a cymbal sleeve,
Yeah.
and I've had no carpet, so you need I'm not going to carry a ratchet and a strap, but a lot of times they're in your touring van,
Yeah, in your
or
van or
trailer.
truck, yeah.
Totally. So it's really cool information to know. One thing we do have to do here, which we didn't get to do in the warehouse because it didn't really come out too well, is the
Right.
floor tom.
Yeah.
You took a practice pad, flipped it upside down on the wooden side so it reflects the resonance back into the drum.
Right. It doesn't get absorbed into the carpet because
Right.
it bounces off of the pad.
So I went to the warehouse and I stole this.
What do you know? Hey.
Yeah, it was really fast. So explain what you're talking about here.
Yeah, so of course when you hit a drum, the sound waves go through the drum, it bounces off the resonant side head, which is the bottom head, and then back up, and it, so on and so on, just bounces back and forth. But of course not all of the sound is trapped in the drum, it goes through the head, and in the case of a studio setup like right here, you're typically on a rug, so the rug or the carpet absorbs some of that sound. But if you have something hard, like a practice pad, which most drummers have, you can throw it under the floor tom and it creates more resonance. So I'll play it without the pad under the floor tom, and I'll put it under, and we'll see the difference. Now I'll put the pad underneath, and hopefully you can hear a difference.
Yeah, I can hear
a little bit.
We're in the actual studio here. I don't even have my headphones in.
Right.
So hopefully you guys can hear it out there. I know we have a mic on the top of the head, but you can definitely hear a little bit of extra ring in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Awesome, man. So obviously we didn't get to 50, which is what you originally had planned.
Right.
We got 25, but what you did for us at Drumeo here is a complete new show, exclusive to Drumeo, and it's called DIY Drum Experiments.
Yep.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so as a drummer, you probably accumulate a lot of gear like stands, old cymbals, old heads, old sticks, stuff like that, stuff that's consumable, right? So I would see I had all this stuff just laying around and I would never really use it. But then it's like, oh, hey, I have this. What if I combined it and make something new? How can I recycle this old gear to get something new? So throughout the series, I talk about drum heads, drumsticks, cymbals, hi-hat stands. Yeah, just in every episode I talk about different projects you can do with these random objects that you probably have lying around. So if that sounds interesting, then hopefully you enjoy it.
Yeah, so the cool thing about it is if you're a Drumeo Edge member right now, and the whole series is going to be released, so you can watch all 6 episodes, and I was shocked at how many things I didn't know or have seen on your channel. A lot of the stuff is exclusive just to the Drumeo DIY.
Yeah, there's a lot of new stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's around an hour and a half of hacks and cool little mods you can do. So I'm really excited to launch that, and it's one of the reasons why I brought you out here to announce the show that we did with you and to show us some hacks for you all watching at home. So if you guys are following him on YouTube and you like what he does on YouTube, definitely come to drumeo.com. You can try it out, drumeo.com/trial. You could probably binge it in that trial too if you like.
Definitely.
But we're releasing it right after this. So any other kind of tips you can give for drummers out there who kind of want to start on this kind of stuff or figure out their own hacks?
Yeah, definitely. Probably the 2 most common things that I hear on my channel is I don't have the space to build a workshop, or I don't have the money to build out a workshop. So what I'd recommend doing is checking out your local area for what's called a maker space, which is essentially just like a workshop that you pay a membership for. You go there and you have all the tools and all this knowledge from the other people that are there. So of course, if you don't have the space or the tools, that's a great way to start. And also, just throughout the series, you'll see that a lot of this stuff, you don't need crazy amounts of tools or crazy amount of knowledge. It's just like, oh, just drill a hole through this and you have something new.
Yeah.
So
very cool.
Yeah.
One more tip I need from you. How do you get your beard so thick?
Honestly, it's all natural. I don't do anything to it. No oil or lube or anything.
No, you gotta oil your beard.
No, it's all natural.
That's crazy, man. You're also a killer drummer. The song you played in the beginning, is that a track you made, or is
funny. We were talking. You're like, oh yeah, find some tracks to play for the live lesson. I was like, all right, let me see what I can find. And the same time, a guy, producer, composer, all the above, named Alex Ball Music, he uploaded this track, and I was like, dude, this is perfect. I love this. So I hit him up, sent me a drumless track. So that was the first track that I played.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And you got one more track for us?
Yep, there's one more. My buddy TJ Hartmann wrote this, fellow drummer. So shout out to him. And yeah.
Very cool. I feel like this has been the easiest live lesson I've had to host.
Right?
Seriously, it's already over, and I didn't have to do anything. But hey, thanks for watching anyway. If you guys want to check out the new DIY Drum Experiment show, all 6 episodes are launching right now in Drumeo. You can binge them. If you're not a Drumeo member, go to drumeo.com/trial just to check it out. We also filmed some cool courses with David about tuning and maintenance and repair, how to make sure your drums stay clean and usable, and how to fix those little issues that every drummer gets with them. So I'm sure you'll enjoy that as well. And also make sure you follow him, rdavidr on YouTube, on Instagram, and everywhere else. Just put it in Google. You'll find him out there. Hey, buddy. Hey, thanks so much.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem. We'll have you back out again.
Yeah, definitely.
And hopefully your beard grows another...
Just a little bit, maybe.
Couple more inches. All right, play us out with the track. We'll see you guys all later.